Hello, everyone. I am Kia, and this is Kia's Corner. Um, as you know, if you've been following me, that I do something called Author Spotlight, where I get a chance to chat with some of the best authors around. And tonight, we are blessed with the absolute best. Tonight, we're going to be talking to Shanora Williams, New York Times best-selling author, USA Today best-selling author, Shanora Williams. You may know her for her fantasy novels. You also may know her for her thrillers, The Wife Before, The Other Mistress, etc., etc. But you also may know her for this incredible book that just dropped at the beginning of the month, Beautiful Broken Love. And I'm telling you, if you haven't gotten that book, you are doing yourself a disservice. Go get it today. We're talking about it today. I won't do any spoiler alerts. This is going to be a great conversation. So why don't we just get Shanora on in here? Let's see. Let me get her.
Hey.
Hi.
I couldn't hear you at first. I was like, I don't hear anything.
No, do you hear me now? Am I
No, I can
good?
hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yay! Great. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh my gosh, look, I need a filter. I look tired. Look.
No, it's okay. The work that you've been putting out, you need to look tired. That book is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
mean, first, let me just say, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Thank you for giving me your time. You're a mom, like I'm a mom, and time is something we have little of.
Yes.
So,
I know. I was like, do not let them open that door, or I'm gonna be mad.
I had that same conversation with my husband for my kids. It's like, hey, I've got a 7-year-old son, a 9-year-old daughter, 17-year-old daughter. I was like, listen, those two in there,
Yeah.
lock them away.
Yes.
Get them out of here.
For real. They just barge right in, like.
Yes,
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
You have to tell them
I
like,
keep telling myself I'm gonna get like a door hanger that says "Do not disturb" or like writing in session
yeah,
or something like that. Something
yeah,
so they know, like, oh,
something.
yeah,
Yes, I'm the
yeah,
same way. I'm like, if anywhere I am, they feel like they're entitled to be there.
right,
It's
right.
the bathroom. It don't matter where it is. They're
Everywhere,
coming.
everywhere.
They're coming.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you know what? Well, I want to jump in first by saying thank you. Just thank you for being you. Thank you for writing. Thank you for giving us all this awesome material that you've given us. 40 plus books is insane.
Yeah. It is wild.
It's insane.
I don't even know
That's
how. When people say it, I'm like, dang, it's that many. Woo. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of books. I mean, and you really have something for everybody. You've
Yes.
got the fantasy, the romance, you got the thrillers, you've got uh, this latest one, Beautiful Broken Love, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
Sports romance, sports fiction, which is incredible. Incredible. So I don't want to do the run of the mill same type of stuff. So what I want to do is I kind of want to start just with you and your journey as a writer. My first question to you is what even inspired you to become a writer in the beginning?
Ooh. I mean, I think a lot of things inspired me, but the main one, I think, was my grandma. She was a teacher, so she used to have us
Mm-hmm.
really just like, so we lived down the street from a library.
Okay.
So my love for reading started there because I
Yeah.
would just go and check out books and just start reading. Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
my grandma would have us go get these books and then write essays on them. Like she was a
Oh,
strict teacher,
she
teacher.
was
So she was like,
serious.
yeah, well not
Okay.
essay, but like write a paragraph of what you learned or
That's really
what the
good.
book told you, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all everybody else hated it, but I was like, yes, like I love this, like to
Yeah.
write about it. Yeah. So I think that was the first time that I knew I wanted to be a writer. And then my mom, she's always wanted to be a writer herself, and she's a big
Okay.
reader, an avid reader. So just watching her, because she used to write stories, just for herself. She used to write, and I
Yeah.
knew she didn't want to be published one day, but yeah, I used to just watch her and be like, how is she just sitting there, like
Mm-hmm.
how is this possible to just sit here and write? Like, because I would be like, I want to do that, but like I don't think I
Yeah.
could just sit there. But yeah, so it stemmed from that too. But I just eventually just started and never stopped. That was the thing.
Wow. That is incredible. You basically just had the atmosphere. You had the right
Yeah.
environment to
Yes.
get
Yeah.
you going.
And it was always
When
something going
was
on, so it's easy to
yeah,
write something
I
crazy.
mean,
Yeah.
that's that you really had the perfect start with your grandmother, with being in the library, with your mom, having that inspiration to draw
Yeah.
from, seeing her
Yeah.
do that, and then being a reader. I read that you're an avid reader.
Yeah.
You're a binge reader like myself.
Yes.
So when you love reading, I'm sure at some point you're like, you know what? There's a story out there that I haven't seen yet, and I think I want to
Yeah.
write it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that's awesome. So when you first started, did you ever in mind say, I want to do this genre? Did you have that sort of focus for yourself?
So I first started. I knew I wanted to write romance for sure. I wanted some kind of romance
Okay.
involved, but
Hmm.
this was because I was, when I started really writing romance, I had just met my now husband, so he was my
Okay.
boyfriend. So I had just met him, and I was like, this is weird. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not used to this kind of tender love. Like, this is like,
Yeah.
so I was like, I want to write about this. So I wrote like a fan, like a made up story about my life and, a
Hmm.
romance aspect. But eventually I started like kind of, I would notice when I wrote, I would always start to make things suspenseful.
Okay.
And no matter what I did, if I want to keep it, sweet and simple, I always
Yeah.
had to add some kind of like suspense. Like, and I was like, why do I do this? Like, why am I so
Yeah.
dramatic? So I think that I've always had those like suspense roots, but the romance kind of just
Hmm.
overpowered that. But yeah,
Got it.
that's how I got into that, just writing fake stories and then
Yeah.
making them real. Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you talked about
Yeah.
suspense. That leads me right into where I wanted to go. I have to tell you, for me, how I was first introduced to you and how you became one of my favorite
Yeah.
authors was your thriller. When I read The Wife Before, that was
Mm.
actually the first book of yours that I read.
Oh, God.
And only because I'm one of those mood readers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll be in a mood for a
Mm-hmm.
certain genre
Yeah, that's me.
and I
Yeah.
will binge
Yeah.
read that genre
Yes.
until I
Treat
get tired, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just happened to be at that time, I was coming out of historical fiction
Mm.
mood. And then I was like, you know what? I want to start getting into thrillers because that's not something I used to read before.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was somebody who said something to me, but I remember reading somewhere and I was like, oh, there's a Black author
Yeah.
of a thriller? Are you serious?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yeah.
And that was right up my alley.
Right.
So I was just like, oh, I got to read this. And then once I read it, I was
Mm.
like telling everybody I could find, like, you've got to get this book. You've got to read this author. She knows how to write
Thank
suspense. She
you.
knows how to write those twists and those turns. I was blown away by that. So, of course, my question to you is, how in the world do you put that kind of crazy together and sprinkle it with some romance in there?
Mm.
Like, it weaves in
I have
perfectly.
no idea. I don't know. My sister-in-law, she asks me that all the time. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you? Because she'll read them and be
Mhm.
like, how? Like, I don't get how you come up with this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just comes. Like, one minute is, because I think I go with the characters and what they
Yeah.
decide to do. I'm not really somebody who goes by like outline or like I'll have a basic outline, but not nothing too deep. I just kind of go
Okay.
wherever it takes me. But I don't know. I kind of got to blame my mama too because she used to watch some crazy stuff when I was growing up. Like watching like like stuff on Lifetime or just like these movies, and I'm like,
Oh
what? Like,
yeah.
and she did watch a lot of Criminal Minds. She just watched a lot of like
Oh
random
yeah.
shows that didn't make sense. And I'm like Charmed. Charmed is one I never expected my mom to
Oh.
watch. She watched it all the time, like all the time. So it's like
Okay.
all these random mix of shows and books that we used to read. I think it just kind of just somehow just I don't know. It just
Yeah.
meshes. I don't know.
The
It just
imagination
meshes.
is
Yeah,
incredible.
it
The
is.
way
And
you can
I'm a
pull
paranoid
from.
person. I think it's paranoia too, because I'll be like, what if this
Oh.
person did that? Like, like no,
Okay.
I gotta keep my eye open because people crazy. Like,
That, you know what, and that makes a lot of sense because I remember reading and I'm thinking at some point I was like, you know what, I think I might be thinking like that too if this was happening to
yeah,
me. Like this feels kind of real. Like,
People
yeah,
crazy, like the
yeah.
stories I hear sometimes. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
hear certain stories about people and things that they go through, and I'm like, what would I do if it happened to me? I don't know. And then you read stuff in the news, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, this is
Crazy stuff
crazy. Yeah, yeah,
really happens.
yes,
Yeah.
daily.
So all the time.
Yes,
So we have constant inspiration if you're trying to find a
yes,
story.
yes. Like you get, I know one author
Unfortunately.
who gets like she gets these, I guess, news alerts or whatever for
Yeah.
like certain things that could be potential true crime stories for podcasts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how she gets a lot of her ideas because she's just like it's
Yeah.
random, but it's like the stories are crazy. Like woman, puts her man's hand in the dishwasher or
Mm.
in a grinder in the sink or whatever it is, and it's like
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
yeah,
Like this stuff really happens.
yes,
Yeah. It is
yes,
not, it's like I said, this isn't far fetched
no,
because you, like I said, with
that's
your books, it was like I have read other thrillers before where it was really almost like there was a distance because it was like I
yeah,
don't really see this
yeah,
happening, but it's a good story.
right.
But then I read yours and it's like, wait a minute, I don't know. I think this could happen. Like
Because I get a lot of people who tell me this would not happen in real life in this book, and I'm like, I mean, you'd be surprised some of the stuff that
and
happens.
and
Yeah.
this is coming from a person who loves Dateline,
Mm-hmm.
NBC, and Law and Order SVU. So
Yes.
none of this stuff is that far
That's what
fetched to
I'm
me
saying.
because
Like, do y'all watch these shows? Or y'all, because I
right?
don't
Do
think
you
they
not
watch
see
them.
this stuff happening? Like
They don't.
that's me.
I
I'm
listen
like,
to like a lot of true crime podcasts, and it's
yeah,
like the stories are crazy. So it's like
crazy.
I don't know how people don't realize, like, don't believe that this can happen because it can. Like, the stuff can happen. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why for me, I was just like, oh, this is great. And then just the storytelling, the way you write, the way you develop your characters, the way you give them a voice,
Thank you.
incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But the thing that really, really sat with me is the fact that this is a Black author
Mm.
writing about Black people in this genre that you typically don't see us in,
Yeah.
not mainstream anyway.
That's yeah.
You don't
There's a
really
story
know,
behind that too. There's a whole story
and
behind that. Like,
that's correct. I don't, as a person who is a reader, and I
mm,
love thrillers and mysteries and suspense and all that, but I've never seen a I really can't think of that many. Probably a handful that
yeah.
are Black authors, getting that publicity and telling those stories because there are writers doing that
Oh
work,
yeah. It's a lot.
but we don't
Yeah.
know about them. We don't see them, which is another reason why it was important to me to bring you on and talk to you and hoping that people would see this because it's like, no, I know everybody loves Beautiful Broken Love. I get it. And we're going to talk about that. But y'all need to know she can write some thrillers, okay? You need to know this.
Yeah, yeah, that whole so when I signed for Thrillers, when was that? Whatever year that was when I signed. When The Perfect Ruin, I signed about a year or two before that came out. But
Okay.
at the time, that editor was looking for domestic thrillers with Black characters, and
Okay.
I've been looking for one myself because I'm like, I go to these stores, I go to these bookstores, I'm hunting for them. Like the only
Yes.
ones I could find that may be similar was My Sister the Serial Killer, which really is
Oh,
not a
yeah.
domestic thriller. It's just, it's a thriller, but it's not domestic, like
Right.
between the husband and wife type thing.
Right.
I could never find those type of books with Black
Mm-hmm.
characters. It was very rare. And then so when the agent at the time, she said, they're looking for this, and I was like, and I had told her before, I'm writing,
Yeah.
I want to write something like this, and she was like, oh yeah, like okay, so I'll see about that. And then suddenly they were looking for it, and I was like,
Okay.
okay, I got a story for you. Like, yeah, I got a story. I
Yeah.
got several stories for you.
Good.
So yeah, I took that opportunity for it. But the crazy thing is, when I took that opportunity, it was like very bare minimum. Like they did not take me
Mm-hmm.
seriously when I took that deal. It was just kind of like something that they wanted to test, and
Okay.
I proved them wrong. I did prove them wrong because I'm like, don't sleep on me. Like, don't like me think I'm
Right.
sleeping on you. But they didn't really want to push it like that at first
Mm-hmm. That's
until it
unfortunate.
started to get traction. Yeah, and I will. I don't know what happened, but it did. The Perfect Ruin did pretty well. It was at Target Book
Yeah.
Club pick, but at the time that when it came out, it was around the whole Black Lives movement,
Oh,
Black Lives Matter movement. and
Okay.
people at the time were looking for that content. So it
Yeah.
did reach the right audience, which was good.
That's
And I
good.
think that did help bring awareness to the fact that there was somebody writing thrillers that was Black
Yeah.
and with Black characters, you know. So that did help with that. But you know, it's still tricky because people are like, the main thing is like for these, I don't know if people realize it, but the covers for my books, they don't have people,
Right.
because one of the main things I told people in the beginning is that the publishers, I said, I don't think, well, they actually told me, they said they don't think that the books would sell as well if there were
Really?
no, like, if there were people of color on the cover. They didn't think it would. And it's
Wow.
honestly, it's a proven fact, sadly, in the publishing industry that people do not, like, other than us,
Yeah.
we'd flock to that,
Yeah.
other than Black people who flock to that. Anybody outside of that won't pick it up. And
That's
it's
sad.
weird. It's like a subconscious thing for,
Yeah.
you know, people. So it's like, yeah. But
Wow. That's
that was,
really
it's
interesting.
been an interesting journey writing these thrillers, and being with a
Wow.
publisher, because that was my first time being with a publisher, and
Mhm.
it was very different. But yeah,
That
it's
is
a journey.
different.
It's a
That
journey. Yeah.
is different. And I noticed that. I have noticed that is I'll say when it comes to Black authors and when they're presenting their books, um they seem to gain more traction if our faces are not on the cover, which is sad.
Yeah.
But at the same, it's, to me, it's like it's a double-sided type
Yeah.
of thing, because for someone like myself, you have so many of our people who are looking for us in those
Yeah.
genres, and we're looking at the covers. So when we don't see it, it's like, oh, I just scrolled past, I didn't know.
Yes.
And then you find out later, after after it gets popular, or word of mouth,
Right.
or however that goes. So it's unfortunate that you have to make certain
Yeah.
decisions just to get your book out there the way you
Yeah.
want it to. But yeah, I definitely noticed that.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference too. Like there is a change. Like Kennedy Ryan is a prime example of that. Like Black women on the cover that is pushing. Like
Yes.
but it started with like people who were accepting it. The characters were cartoons, like they were drawings, illustrations, which is like, I
Yeah.
mean, no, I want to see actual live people on the cover.
Right.
Like, so I think we are getting to that point, but it's still some work to do
It
there.
still
And
works.
yeah, and it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
unless the book is pushed really hard, I think especially thriller, and it's not pushed
Right.
really hard with a Black person on the cover, and the whole, everybody's going hard for it, then
Yeah.
it's
That's
tricky.
so sad that a lot of our books are getting lost because of that.
Right in the shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's sad. It's sad to even hear, which I'm not really that surprised, but it's sad to hear that you were told, like, hey, we don't think it's gonna really sell like that. Like, we don't think, and it's like, you know what? I'm not sure where this narrative came from that we can't write,
Right.
but we can write anything.
Right.
Like,
We can do anything. Like, what?
we can do anything, and Black readers want to read it.
Yes,
They want to see it.
it's such a broad audience of Black readers, and they're not tapping into it, and it's crazy to me because we've proven over and over again, like we do
keep
read,
proving it.
So it's
right,
like,
we keep proving it, but I mean, for some reason, they're just missing it, and sometimes there's some deep-seated, things that have been there for a long time that people just not getting yet. Yes. But there's a hunger. I know there is a hunger for it.
I had a hunger for it. I was like, where are these thrillers with the Black people? Like, that's me. Like, then I was like,
that's how I was.
If I don't see one, I'm gonna write one. That was my.
I'm so glad you did.
Like,
so glad you did.
And then there's like, I think several other thrillers came out around the time mine did that same year, because I think people noticed that there's a lack of this in this genre. So I did see a lot more coming out, but even now it's still very slim to get them. And if they are thrillers, they always talk about like race, which is fine. But I'm like, I don't think everything should have to be race heavy for like for Black readers. Like it shouldn't always be focused on like racism, if that makes sense. Like or workplace racism or something like that, or like places around you where something just happened. I don't think it should be that. I think it should actually be focused on the characters in the story. Like we go through the same situations as other people do. Like there's nothing different. We still bleed red, it's no different. We just have a different upbringing, and that can be tossed in. Like we add that seasoning to it. Like that's what it is.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's what they're missing. That's the point that they're missing. we're the same. Now there's some season in there, so we're not gonna speak the same way. The lingo, the jargon is gonna be different. The way we respond to situations might be different.
Yeah.
But we're all living that same life, and we all have all these things happening to us.
Yeah.
So they're missing it. It's their loss. They're missing out.
Yes.
They're missing out.
It's crazy though, because these thrillers have brought a lot more awareness from other publishers, and they're trying to like, they want more. They're like, hey, so what else do you have next? What else do you have next?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what y'all paying me? That's the question. What y'all gonna offer me?
Where's the money looking like?
Yes, because you can say you want it all you want to, but
cut the check.
Cut the check. That's the main thing, is like, you got to actually pay us what we're worth. Like, don't come and say, oh, I really want this. We really want to push this. And then they come and then it's nothing happening. Like, not pushing it. No marketing efforts, nothing. It's just, no.
Right.
So I'm done with the contract I have now. Other than that book that comes out next summer. That's my last one with this publisher. But my next one, I'm actually taking my time with who I'm going to sign with, because I just want to make sure that they actually get the visibility. Because even now, the thrillers that come out now, you can't really find them in the store. You might find like 1 copy or 2 copies, but you can't find them, and it's because they're not distributing enough copies. Right. So I'm personally, I like how I see all these other people with all these millions of books on the shelves. Like, I want to see it's possible. You just don't want to do it. So
right, it needs to be on the same page. I totally agree, because like you said, the way that they push these other authors, and these are some authors that I love, so it's no shade to them, but if I'm seeing a Frida McFadden or a Larita Ann White out there doing the numbers that they do, and the amount of books I see on the shelves, and then I'm looking at your work and I'm like, I don't see her book over here. Where's her book? It's the same, the quality, there's no difference in quality. It's the same great quality, but they're just not putting us out there enough. And that has to change.
What the difference is. We know what's the difference. Because it's not. I'm like,
and that's my point. I'm like, okay, I read both, so I'm like, it ain't got nothing to do with the writing. It's not the writing. That's the problem.
Like, I have
that's not what it is.
Not even that. It's just we know the reason why they push one hard. Because I get a lot of people who compare my stuff to Frida McFadden's work, and I'm like, if you say so, but they compare it to her, and I'm like, I can see why they compare it to it, but I'm like, if that's getting that comparison, why are they not selling the same? I don't.
You need to be getting Frida McFadden's money.
She does have like a lot of books. She got a lot of books. Like, I don't know how she got that many thrillers, and how she's writing them that fast. I don't know, because it takes me about 6 months to 6 to 8 months to write one. I don't know how she's doing that, but
I love Frida McFadden, but she is not you. Shanita, girl, I see you. Shanita, don't say it. Don't you do it. I know where you're going with that. Don't do it. Hey, Shanita, I was about to say the same thing. Shanita is right. Shanora is in her own category. Now, we can like what these other people are doing. And stop it, Shanita. Stop it. No, but that's the thing. Comparisons can be flattering. They can be. But let's be clear. Let's be clear. Y'all are not the same. I just want to put that out there for everybody watching. Shanora Williams and Frida McFadden are not the same. They may write in the same genre, but not the same. I think
they just at all. I like the popcorn thriller type thing. Like, they're very fast paced type, quick. In between the I guess the heavier thrillers, or like the I don't even know how to describe it as, because it's a lot of thrillers that are more like you got to really concentrate. And I think that's what people compare to. Is like, you don't have to concentrate so hard with like a Shanora book. Like, you gotta catch those little things that come through, the twists and stuff. Like, oh wait, hold on, when did that happen? But it's still easy to follow versus some other thrillers.
Yes. And you know what? Sometimes you just you want to get into a book, and you don't want to have to take a break every couple of days. It's like, oh my gosh, sometimes I read a book and I'm like, okay, I gotta put this down
Yeah.
because I don't know what's going on.
What's
Like,
happening?
I just want to
Yeah,
enjoy
definitely.
it. Can we just enjoy the story? Can we be, just let's go on a ride here,
Yep.
So different, and anybody who's not a thriller reader, all thrillers are not created equal, just so you know. So they're just it's not all created equal. They're not all the same. So no shade on anybody else, but I do believe that the way you write yours, your approach to writing, the way your stories move, I think that a lot more people will enjoy it. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just had to
I
put
think
that
if they
out.
would have had the proper push, if those books would have had the proper marketing push, like The Bitter Truth is a prime example. Like, this was an election year, and that is a book about a governor, and they did absolutely nothing with that. Like, and I'm over here like, you know how many things you can do, and I'm tired of doing my job, so I pushed the book how I could, but I was like, I'm not about to keep doing. That's not my job. If I'm finding the right way, you got to do your part too, and
absolutely.
There's only so much I can do as my little old self. There's only so much I can do. So it's
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I felt like they had there was a lot of things they could have did with The Bitter Truth this year. Especially since the guy in that book was a person who pretended to be somebody else, and he was not trustworthy. And look who our president is now. Like, look at what we got. So yeah, it's like I feel like they could have did a lot with that, but
they
missed opportunity, and that's that's why I'm taking my time on the next one, because
I definitely understand. I definitely understand that, because when it comes to that, when I found out about the book, I was mad because I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even know that was out. Like, I missed it when it released. Like,
nobody knew.
I was so mad.
That's the sad thing. Nobody really was like, whoever knew, they probably knew from social media, or if they followed my newsletter or something like that, but they didn't know because you didn't see it in the store. Like, you didn't see it anywhere. So it just don't make sense. Like, it does. Publishing is just strange, but yeah, that's why I said the next contract, if I do sign one for thrillers, it's definitely gonna have to be worth that.
Yeah,
like, I agree. See this book, I want to see it. Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's how I found out about The Bitter Truth, was through social media. I didn't see it anywhere, so I wasn't aware of it.
Nowhere.
So that leads to my question to you: is how can we as readers support you? I'm saying, aside from just buying a book, obviously we need to buy the book, but is there anything that the readers can do in addition to purchasing books that could kind of help? Do you think? Is there anything we could be doing?
No, I mean, other than what everybody does now, people recommend books. I think recommendations and word of mouth is the biggest way to sell books. I think that's why TikTok is so popular, Book Talk, because people are just talking and people are like, oh, I want that too. It just continues as a cycle, and that's technically word of mouth, and it blows up, goes viral. But yeah, word of mouth is the main way. And I think, just review books help authors a lot too, because people do go off of review, and then just sharing. That's the main thing. That's all I can really think. Those 3 simple things. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, you heard that. You heard that. You could buy the book, talk about the book, share it, like go on her page, share what's out there, because these companies are not giving it the attention that they should. And so, you know what? Let's put it in the hands of the readers. Let's do our part.
Right.
We all got pages now. Go ahead and put it on there. Take a picture of the book, put it on there. So we can do our part too.
Yeah.
It's small, but
I don't
like you said, sometimes
people, I don't like asking for too much. So I'm like,
if
you message me and say you enjoyed the book, that's enough for me. I'm like, oh, thank you. Okay, it reached somebody. That's enough for me. Like, thank you. Yeah.
That's good.
Because I know some authors expect a lot, but I'm not one of those that's like, I need to do this and that, and y'all need to. No, I'm not. I'm just like, thank you. That's cool.
Yeah.
We use the Black Facebook Thriller group.
Yes, I agree, Shanita. That would be awesome. Start it and I'm there. Start it and I'm there, because I agree. But yeah, and even things like that, creating a group like that, that will also help to get more eyes on the work and have more people purchasing books and talking about it. So that's another way that people can help. So that's amazing. We're gonna do our part, people out there. We're gonna do our part. So now I gotta switch gears because I gotta talk about this book. I got to talk about this book. honestly, when I asked you about doing this, my intention was actually to talk about the thrillers. That's what I was going to talk about, because I was still reading Beautiful Broken Love, and I honestly didn't think I was going to finish. So I said, let me talk about the thrillers, because I love those. Oh my gosh, when I finished that book, I was like, oh, there's no way. We got to talk about this book. I mean, this, and I'm not kidding you. I put this out there. I don't know if it was Twitter. I put it somewhere, and I was like, this is literally one of the best books this year, period. Period. One of the best books, period. And I mean, you wrote it, so you already know that. But this
see, all
right. You being humble now. This book is literally one of the best books you can get this year. Period. It just has everything. Is not, I'll say this, I love sports fiction. So I do read a lot of books that are sports fiction, sports romance, that sort of thing. I love romance in general. So of course I love my love stories. But what made this different was that you had your tropes that we look for in a love story. You had those there. You check those off the list. When it comes to a sports fiction, sports romance, you had enough of the life of an athlete in there. So it's like, okay, check, we got that. But then the emotional heavy stuff is when it went over the top. That's when it was like, I was not expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that.
I warned people. I said, all right, man, yeah, you might cry. You might cry. We got
and see, my crazy self, I didn't even see your warning until after I started reading it already. And I was just, I'm bawling my eyes out, like, why is she doing this to me?
I'm like, that's what I said. If I gotta cry, they gotta cry too. That's how I feel. Man. If I gotta suffer, so do you. We gotta suffer together. Yeah.
We did. We did. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, but I'm trying. I never try to give away too much when I interview, because I don't want to do spoiler alerts, because I really want people to read. But and just this is a side note. Anytime I do these, my purpose is, number one, I want to get people reading. I want to get people supporting the author, because I really believe that's important. Black authors in particular, because they don't push us as much. So that's always something that I'm very passionate about. And also, just with doing the book club and doing Author Spotlight, what I want to drive home to everybody is the things that reading can do for you. Yes, it's entertaining, it's a release, it's relaxation, all that, but you can really learn things when you read. You can grow from it. You can actually heal from reading. And that's what this book did. This was one of those books where it's like, you got some feel good stuff going on. You got your spice in there. You got all that stuff. But man, you will heal too through all of that. And so I'm wondering if, when you were approaching writing this book, was it important for you to make sure that you touched on all of that, or did you just kind of let your imagination run and just go, and whatever came out?
Yeah, it was mostly, everything that came out just came out. I'm more like I think I'm very character driven, and I think that the emotion, well, I knew for sure it was going to be about grief. Like, I knew that for sure. It was it was definitely supposed to be about grief. But originally the story, it started with her husband being alive, and I changed it because I was like, this takes away too much from Deke, and I was like, I don't want the focus to still be on this, husband, and you watch him die. Like, I don't know. I ended up taking that out and just started it where 7 months later, and I just I knew it was going to be emotional. I knew it was going to be kind of heavy. But that's not new for me. Honestly, my romances can get pretty intense. Even though they are romance, they still can get pretty ooh, like I'm feeling things. Like you start to feel some, and because I like to touch on like real life stuff. Like I wanted to talk about, like, because a lot of people don't like to talk about grief, which is crazy because
Yes.
even in our family, like when that passing happened, nobody wanted to really talk about it, and
Right.
people were quiet with it. Especially, you know, Black people, for some reason, we don't
Yes.
like express ourselves the way that we should. And
Right.
I'm a victim of that because I have a problem with like actually saying how I feel. But I grew up as someone who, you know, didn't feel the urge or feel the need to say everything I felt.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I wasn't in a safe space or anything. That's just how I was. Like, I'm just somebody who's like, I'll keep it to myself. Like, that's just not.
Yeah.
So, just writing, when I was writing that, I knew, yes, grief, this is going to be grief. This is going to be grief heavy. I didn't think there would be flashbacks, but there were flashbacks. And those were sad. That one was sad. But I think it was necessary because I think people needed to understand why she was the way that she was and why she was so hesitant. Because if people are married, I try to picture myself as someone, if I lost my husband, I don't think I would just be like, okay, you know, let's, you know, I don't think I'll be ready to move to the next person. It would take me some time. Like, no. The fact that it was 7 months later, it's like, whoa. And then it's weird. It's worse because you feel this connection with this person and this chemistry, like automatic, like fire in the room. And it's like, well, dang, you know, and is this like, you know, what's going on? Like, So I think that's kind of scary too when you think about it. And
It is.
because it's like, I mean, like you said in the book, she did love. She gave all her love. She put it all into that, and then it's just taken away. And it's like, okay, what now? Like, I guess I'm not supposed to love anybody. So what am I supposed to do? Like, that's how it feels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that was good. And Shanita, that's right. We suppress our mental health, unfortunately. That is true. We do that a lot, especially in our community. We do that, which is why I thought it was so important the way you wrote this, that you didn't shy away from the really tough moments that somebody has, those dark moments, those ugly moments that you really don't want people to know that you're going through.
I thought that was important. It was definitely important. Like, I had moments where I just wanted to stay in the bed all day. I did not want to get up. I didn't want to take a shower. I didn't want to eat. I just want to lay there in that sadness and just turn into a rotten piece of meat. Like you said, that's what it was. Like, I just want to lay here and do that. You know? But I think also it was a good sign. Like, in the book, her support system was amazing for her. And I did have that. I had a great support system. And people who kind of just push you forward, because that's all you can do is just move forward. Like, you can sit in it for a moment, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But eventually, you got to get back up and you got to keep going, because that's just life. It sucks. But once you learn to accept it, I mean, you just accept it. And I mean, there are a lot of quotes in it where they, like, you know, they describe grief as something that passes, but it comes back, and it's like, it literally will slap you. How it is. It will literally slap you, like, oh, I'm back. Yeah, what's up? Like, okay, like, but I didn't ask you to come back.
You thought I was gone.
Like this. So it's just coming and just attacking you, and it's like, those periods are hard. But I like that Deke understood that. Like, I like that but I feel like he wouldn't have been able to if, you know, he didn't have his own grief either. So when I think about it, I'm curious how he would have been if he hadn't gone through that.
That was the question I had.
It makes me very curious. Like, what do you mean? But originally, Deke wasn't even supposed to have a point of view in the book. He wasn't supposed to have any voice. It was just going to be her point of view, because I wanted the focus to be on her grief, because I didn't think that he would have like a major like thing going on in his life, and he did. He had two major things, so like two very traumatic experiences for him. So I just thought that was but it was fun writing. It was fun.
That was good. I mean, the layers that he had was unexpected. It was really unexpected. Because you think, you know, you got this fine man who's a basketball player, and he's just sexy, he's saying all the right things, and of course he falls first, which is, I love that. I love that. So you think, okay, that's what it's gonna be. He's gonna be pressing her, trying to get with her. But then as you go further, you're like, oh, he's got some stuff. Okay. But it did, you know, I think what was good about it was it made him well suited to deal with her. It helped. It helped.
It really
It helped.
did. Yeah.
It really
I think
helped.
it was important, like that patience with her. I think it was important. And I think it also helped that
Yeah.
he grew up with sisters. So it's like he got two sisters who kind of
That
like,
helped him.
yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That,
Definitely.
because you know that
Yeah.
emotional IQ and
Yeah.
just you knowing how to deal with a woman,
Mm-hmm.
that's
His
something he
mama,
had.
his mom, his
Yeah.
sisters, he grew up around women
Like
who
you
like,
got that.
yeah.
He's like, he ain't scared. He
No.
ain't running.
He grew
He's
around strong
ready.
women. That's what it was. He grew around some pretty strong
He
women.
grew up around
He
strong women.
knew that her strength was kind of like, I think he knew in his sisters, like their strength is kind of a, a guard.
Yeah.
And he probably saw that in her too. Like, yeah, she's a strong woman, but I feel like he could tell there was something off. Like something is not,
Yeah.
something's there that he wanted to, that he could connect with automatically. I don't know. And I think that's more so on a soul level. Like that's why they say soulmates. Because I think
It
in
was.
his soul, it was something that connected to her soul. It was like
Yes.
something here
Yes.
is vibrating, but I don't know what it is, Yeah.
Right. Exactly. See that in that soul level, we saw that with, and I won't say exactly what he did, but when she was going through, how he showed up
Yes.
for her.
Yeah.
And how he didn't, because I've experienced grief myself, and sometimes it's so uncomfortable for other people that they tend to back off and they leave you alone.
Yes.
And they kind of, they think they're doing you a service by doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, sometimes I need somebody to come grab me, get me out my bed.
Yep. Yes.
Like,
yes.
come take
I
me
know a lot
out.
of people who said that he was pushy. They was like he was pushing her too fast, or he was like too forward or something like that. I was like, no, I think he just knew what she needed, even though she wouldn't have been happy with it. I think he still knew what she needed. Like,
yes. And that's where I was. And I think, and I've read some reviews, but when I was reading some of them, I was like, you know what? They're probably coming from people who've never experienced a loss like that.
Yeah,
so they probably don't know what that feels like. It's like, I have. So I'm like, what saved me was having friends come and get me. Like, that
get
helps
me out this house. Like me
come
open
get me out the house.
Come annoy me, because even though I'm gonna be annoyed in the moment, I'm still gonna be thankful for it later. And I think that's important.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I did notice, a lot of people who have lost someone, like I've gotten a lot of messages from people who lost people this year, and it does touch me, because it's like they said it helped, to see, I guess, that light, to see that hope, and that, I guess, past and rekindled. Like, just there is a future, even though you feel like it's very bleak at the moment and nothing's gonna happen. It's still, eventually life does progress and it does get better. So, and I'm a living testimony of that, because I was down horrible, like bad. Like I think I gained 50 pounds. I gained about 50 pounds of just sad weight. It was just depression, and and then I had a baby on top of that, so it was like, that on top of that, coupled with that, and I was drowning myself in work, so I was pretty much like Davina. I was drowning myself in writing and just focusing on that, not really anything else. But then when I wasn't writing and I'm just sitting in my feelings, I'm just crying, because I'm like, dang, like, and you're not absorbing that grief and letting it run its course. Even though it's going to come back, I think that's what I was afraid of, is it coming back and smacking me again. I'm back. Like, and now I kind of sit with it like, we're going to cry, but I'm about to get over you really quick. Like, you're not about to just sit here in this, But I think that's part of healing. Like, you got to heal with it. And it sucks, but you got to do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It will suck, and it will come back, and it will remind you, hey, I'm still here, and that's,
go read it. You got to read it.
Please read it, Shanita. Please read it. It's not your typical love story.
No.
You will enjoy this. You will enjoy it. But with Deke, it's like he understood, so he knew, like, okay, he was accepting of the fact that, she's going to have her moments. She's going to have her times. But I'm not going to leave her. I'm not going to disappear. I'm going to show up. I'm still going to engage. And so it was just, to me, they just had that soul thing where you're like,
he had a good support system too, even with the guys in his life. Like his Javier is a good, someone who also had dealt with that, and so I think it was good for him to like bounce that off, and because there was one point where he was like, you know what,
he was like, okay,
so it was a good thing that he had that support system as well, but. Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, that was man, that was something. I mean, I love the support system, because really sometimes that's what is going, not sometimes, it saves you to have those people around you that are really paying attention to you.
Yeah.
Like when you're a little off,
Yeah.
something's different, you know. And so
because we're like flowers when you think about it. You just sit wilt away. Like, no, somebody got to come water you. You know,
somebody's got to do it.
Somebody else. So
right. Hey, somebody's got to do it. And I love that he became a part of her support system, and it didn't even take him long. You know, he started picking up on what he fell for her.
Yeah.
He fell for her. So it's like he's like, hey, I'm in here. You know, I'm pulling up. You know, I'm out here.
He was ready. He was ready.
He was ready. He was ready. And he didn't let what she had going on stop him from loving her.
Yes.
Which some people are afraid of grief. They're afraid of what you have going on, and they'll kind of back off. But he was full steam ahead, and I loved it. Which I love. Anytime the man falls first, I love that anyway. So that's just my thing.
The beat his life. He is. They did.
He is life. Finish it. He is life. He is life. But yeah, I think that one of the reasons why this book is so great and why everybody is responding to it the way they're responding to it is because they're seeing something that they don't typically see in other books.
Oh yeah.
You know, it just went deeper
from it. Like, oh, I just lost my dad, so I moved into this new city, and you know, it doesn't really talk about it. Like, she might mention it here and there, but it's not the central, like the focal point. And you know, this one could be honestly considered like a cross between like women's fiction and like it's a crossbreed. So it's not fully like directly romance, but it's not fully directly women's fiction either. So it's a good blend of both. But the romance part is that the spice is slicing. Like it's like pepperoni,
Man,
it's the spice.
You gave us a little jalapeno. You gave it to us. I love it. You gave it to us. I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but that's
I couldn't write it without. I was like, no, we gotta CD. There's no way we cannot see this thing. we
gotta add that in there.
Yes, we need to see. Yeah, all that weight.
We got to that build up, that anticipation. Oh man. But once it was on, it was on. It was on. Yes. So I enjoyed that. That was good. That was very good. So yeah, it was just amazing. And like I said, I ranked this one of the top 10 books of the year. I say this a lot. Anybody who's reading it, please comment. Please write your reviews, because as you said, they do read them.
Yeah.
There are publishing companies they're out there. They're scouring. They're looking. So when you enjoy that book, let people know. Get on your social media and let people know. And the authors love it. Out of all the authors that I've talked to, you included, everybody is so receptive. Like, they love hearing how you feel about the book. Yeah. They want that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk. I try to message back, like, if they message, like, if it's positive, of course, because I do get some negative people on here, and I'm like, ma'am, block.
All right.
Like, don't come over here with this mess. Bye.
Don't do that.
Yeah, it is some like so. I love getting messages because I like to. It just makes me feel like I am doing something right. Especially with somebody who feels like an imposter, or kind of like somebody who's just like, maybe I should stop writing. Maybe I just need to focus on being a mom. Like, that's my battle is like, you know, maybe I just need to back off. But no, but when I get messages like that, it makes me remember why I do it. It's not just for, you know, the reader. It is for the readers, but it is also for me. Like, it does help me, like, to write and express myself that way. Because I think if I hadn't written this book, I think I would still have some unhealed part of me. Because that book did heal a part of me. And that final chapter in the book, they actually were going to cut that chapter out.
What?
And I was like, absolutely not. No, we cannot remove that chapter, because I think that final chapter was important. And that was the part that made me be like, oh my God, okay, yes. That
gotta do it. Yeah. I can't see that book without that last chapter. I can't. Yeah. I'm glad that you fought for that.
Oh yeah. They were like, actually, let's just end it here where, you know, that one before that. And I was like, no, no, I want that in there.
Yeah. Like, no, you're going to ruin it. You got to keep that there. You need all of that.
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah. it's one of those books where, because it's such a healing type of book, you could go back to it. That's the thing I love about it, is you can really go back to, if you go through something, if you have a loss, you can actually go back and reread that book, especially if you find yourself in those moments where you don't want to get out of the bed, when you are struggling with going back into your old life or just living life again. Just to read that you're not crazy, there's nothing wrong with you,
it's normal,
that it's normal, it's a normal part of the process that our society just doesn't talk about. Our culture, we just don't talk about it. So,
and it does show that grief, like, people can heal in different ways. Like, I think the way Deep grieved, or how he was grieving, was completely different from the way Davina was grieving. But I think like it comes in different ways. Like, some people bury themselves in work, and and that's what Davina was. But I think Deep was more so like, his was a quiet grief. Like, he didn't want, like, on the outside, you think nothing was ever wrong with him, like, ever. Like, he just has this perfect life. But I think the thing about Davina is that she didn't really hide it. It was just kind of like she just didn't talk about it. But you would have never known. Like,
that's why I said it was so. It was a surprise to me when it got to that point, because the way he's living his life, you would never know it.
Right.
And
just
so to have it's and it's just like, that was the perfect example. Those two, Deke and Davina, perfect examples of no grief journey is the same.
No, it's not.
Everybody deals with it.
I still have family who is still grieving, like, because I wrote the book because I was inspired by my brother because he passed away. Right. So, like, there's still people grieving in my family from that who are not like close to being healed. And I mean, everybody has their own process. Like, it's not like the way that I'm grieving, my mother would not be grieving that way. Like, she is just like, I can't imagine if I lost my child. Like, that's a completely different type of healing, and that is going to take some time, a lot of time. But for me, I'm like, he's my brother and we were close, but it's like, eventually you just got to accept it, and it sucks because it sucks. I mean, sometimes I kind of tell myself, because he used to play overseas, and so I kind of tell myself sometimes he's still overseas just playing, and so I can't do him right now. But then I like remember, like, no, he's here, like, he's at that gravesite, like, his body's here, like. But it's like, it's a struggle.
I'm sorry for your loss. I want to make sure I acknowledge that, because that's very difficult. Like you said, you having to write this, especially with your brother being a basketball player and Deke being a basketball player, those similarities, that I know I was thinking to myself when I read that about you, I said, wow, and she was able to get through writing this, like, wow.
I was crying blurry-eyed. I didn't write it for like 2 years. Like, I thought of the idea the same year my brother passed away, but I didn't write it. I didn't touch it for about 2 years. Like, I had the idea, but I was like, I'm not writing this because I'm not in a place where I can write this and give it my all. Like, I would have just gave up on it and been frustrated because I'm just angry. I was angry. So it's like, but when I did get to it, it just flowed. Like, it was a natural flow. And I just like Deke because he really is, like, his personality, that's exactly very similar to how my brother was. Like, he was just goofy and just like, making nicknames for everything and just like doing random dances. Like, that was definitely him. He was just somebody who was just naturally cool with everybody. So it's like, he was just one of those people that you just loved naturally. So it's like, out of everybody who could be taken away, why him? Like, it's life. It's like, you would think he would have been like super, because he was healthy. I mean, and it wasn't like an accident or anything. I mean, it was just like his body. Yeah, it was just a body issue. It was a internal issue. So it was like,
Oh,
but
man.
But he was definitely like Deke is someone who just kind of just very laid back, hard to anger. You gotta really make him mad to really, to make him go off. Like, because it was parts in the book where Deke was like, he's not just gonna go off for no reason. He would, though, if you test him or cross the line. Like, especially when it came to his family and his D baby.
Yes, he was ready. He was not playing. No. So that's an incredible way to honor your brother in his life, by writing your character to be so similar to him. So that's a
even the basketball players. Like, he had a lot of players who used to come to our house, and it was annoying back in the day because I'm like, get these like dirty basketball players about it, but just being around them and that like lingo that they have and just how they talk, it literally showed in the book. And that was fun to write, to like relive that a little bit, because they all are just silly. Like EJ in the book, he literally is just someone who like reminds me of somebody from one of his teams. Like just just trying to be everywhere all at once, and just I'm like, boy, sit down. Like he wanted to like sit down, like sit down. Like, but you gotta love him because he's just EJ. That's
That's good that you were able to pull from that, and honestly I'm sure very healing for you just to even do that, to get through it.
Yeah,
you wrote it when you were ready. It was time. You were ready to do it, and that's how grief is. It's like you get to a certain step when you're ready, and everybody doesn't get there at the same pace or at the same time. That's just what it is. For me, I lost 2 of my sons, so for me, when I read this, I was like, yeah, I lost 2 boys.
I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm about to cry.
No, don't cry. I didn't want you to cry. I was just saying that I could relate to the waves that Davina was going through. I could relate to it so much. Yeah. And I really hadn't read a book that could capture it like that, the way that I know it to be. So it was just like, oh yes, this is how I was. I remember being just like
how are
you
that. Just like so bright and bubbly. Like I would be like, I ain't doing no lives. Like what? Like I don't know if I could ever be happy again after losing a kid. Like, oh my goodness.
I actually thought that. I really thought. I did not think I would. I mean, the first, our first son, we lost him in 2009. And he was, we basically had to go through the entire pregnancy, or most of the pregnancy, knowing that something was wrong. But we were hoping and praying that, it's going to be okay. But it wasn't. So he passed after he was born. With my second son, it was an accidental drowning. He was 2.5 years old. And that was in 2013. So it's been 11 years now. And I mean, after that, I was really like, okay, I don't think I could ever live life again. Like I just didn't know what to do with myself. But after so much time, it was kind of like I had my older daughter. So I had a daughter, and then when you're a mom and you go through something like that, it's like you can't just let go and just lay around. Like it forces you to get back up and do what you got to do, no matter how you feel. So I think that helped me a lot, is the fact that I had my daughter. But just that part of me that was kind of like, I just don't find the joy anymore in doing stuff. Like I just don't, and I really didn't think I could have any more children, because I was like, I can't see myself going through this again. We already lost 2. But it's just like with Davina in the story, it's like unexpectedly, it's like this unexpected blessing comes up, and you're like, oh wow, we're gonna have another baby. Oh, okay. Can I do this? Because I don't think I can do it. I'm still crazy. I'm still grieving. You like, but it just over time, really, it's just unexpectedly you start healing in ways you just didn't think you were, and you think you're not ready for something, and then you are. And so I could relate to that part of it. It's like I didn't think I'd be ready to have more kids, but thank God we did. Because
I love that.
we're enjoying it. I'm loving it, right? But yeah, I definitely went through that period of, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like I don't find the joy in life anymore. But once it comes, it's like you tell yourself, okay, I can let myself be happy again. I can let myself enjoy life. And Davina had to get to that point in the book too, where she said, you know what? Yes, this thing did happen, and I'm always going to feel something about it, but I can be happy. I can do something that's good for my heart still, or just that her saying, this person would not want me to live like this. They would not want me to be struggling like this forever. So all of that stuff. So when I tell you I related to that, I was with you on that. Like I was with you.
Because it is hard to put that into words. I don't even know. I literally look and tell myself, like, how do you write this? Like, I don't, but it's just, I think in that moment, just the emotion, and I'm a very emotional person. Like, I'm very empathetic and emotional. So I think naturally just comes out that way. But yeah, but to have it in words is good. And even I like go back and read it sometimes, like, just as a reminder, like, yes, because I would tell myself like, no, you don't get to be happy. Like, this is it. We're done. Like, no. But you can't sit in that sorrow forever. So
and that's so important. You just can't stay there. It's okay to allow yourself to feel it. Just don't stay there too long. Because it's really like waves. It's gonna come and go. It won't stay. And it's intense when it's there, but it eventually leaves you. And you eventually start to feel better, and you start to live your life, and accept everything that comes with living life. So I love the ending of the book because it reinforces that idea that you don't have to stay in that place. There's something good ahead. There's something to look forward to in life. Keep living. Just keep living.
I like that.
Yes. I love that.
I love that last chapter because it's kind of like one thing is closing, but another opens, and it's like, death was a blessing before, but it's another blessing here too, and you shouldn't let it go to waste. That's what it is. So it's like,
absolutely,
or don't let it slip. Don't let it just go. This is your purpose. This is why you're here, and that's important. Very important.
Yes. Absolutely. We had a comment from Have. Tanika loves books. She said Shanora writes amazing angsty romance books. Yes, she does. I agree with you. Absolutely.
They are angsty.
They are angsty.
Yes.
It's worth the read.
Three for Broken Love, like when it went out, I actually had spoken to the editor, and she was like, I want angst. Like, I want some good angst. And I was like, okay, I can do angsty. I was already going to look at angsty anyway, so I was like, yeah, I can do angst. So, because I had pitched the idea to her on a concept, like, I'm thinking about writing this book about this woman who is grieving, blah, 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 and, they were like, oh, yeah, but she's like, can you make it angsty? Like, I was like, yes, I'm pretty sure I can. That's what I do. I love angst. Like,
you got that. You can do angst.
Yeah.
You can do angst. So before we wrap up, because I know you got kids and I got kids, and we're not trying to be on here all night, because I could talk forever. So I'm gonna try to bring it to a close. What is coming up for you? What's the next book up for you right now?
So I don't have anything coming out until next summer. That is that Whispers of the Lake book. The thriller that comes out next summer. I wanted to self-publish a romance, but the way my contract is, I can't put out like another romance after this one. It can't be within 6 months, I think. So by the time 6 months is up, it will be the summertime, and that thriller comes out, and I can't release within that time frame.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, that's my next book, and then after that, it's a fantasy in October. But after that, I don't know. It'd be maybe follow up to the Beautiful Broken Love book. Yeah.
All right.
But different characters. It's not gonna be the same character. It's gonna be different characters. But I think if you've read the book, you know who it's gonna be about. The two people that's gonna be.
I do. That's why I'm excited. Yeah.
And I know where it's going. To like the last, like one of the last chapters of that book, and I love it because it's just the way like you get to see another like thing of Deke and Davina, and it's like, oh my gosh, like like they're like that closure, like yes. It's beautiful. So yeah, I can't wait to share that because I really love it. Yeah,
I can't wait because I promise you. I promise you, when I finished the book, I was thinking, like, wait a minute, I see something else that could come after this. I see something continuing with the story.
Written like a nanny. I don't think I've ever written like a actual like single dad nanny full romance like in that aspect with sports involved. Yeah, it's been an experience, and I love Elisa. Of course, I love the 4-year-old. Like she turns 4 in the book, but I love her. I love that. And she's like hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, when things are serious and tense, she just does something, and it's like, okay, like you're ruining the serious vibes by being silly. So
right.
It was fun writing a toddler into it too. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm excited,
but it is in the works. So I'm excited.
But it's in the works.
Yeah.
Well, hey, as long as we know it's in the works, I'm ready. I'm excited. Whenever you drop it, I'm excited.
Yes.
So yes, y'all hear that? Stay tuned. Follow Shanora on Instagram because she will post and So you know when stuff is dropping, go get it. Tell your friends about it, your book club members, all that. Thank you so much, Shanora, for coming tonight. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. It's been a great time.
I did.
Love your work.
Yeah.
This was so fun. And maybe we'll do it again. I don't know, but I would love to.
Yes, we will. Yes, definitely.
Yes. That's great.
You do romance. You do it for that thriller next summer. The one that
yes.
Right now would be fun.
I would. Oh, because thrillers, that's one of my favorite genres. So I'm all about that. I can't wait till next summer. That's going to be great. Yes. Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Continued success. I can't wait to talk to you next summer. All right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Have a great night.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I'm going to sleep.
Bye, y'all. Go to sleep. Bye.
Bye.
All right, good night, y'all. Good night, y'all. Good night, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. And tune in because guess what? I have Mel Daw. That's tomorrow night. And on Saturday through Zoom, I'm going to be talking to Embassy Sudbury. If you are a historical fiction fan, I will be talking to her on Zoom. I will be posting the Zoom link. And to close out my historical fiction weekend on Sunday night, I'm talking to Piper Hughley. So you don't want to miss that. I will be posting that. So just keep following. And that's it. Thank you guys. Bye.